guys, you guys can tell that we're not on our farm here today. We're actually in Leon today at Tboy Dairy. Actually, my banker set up this tour here. This is a robotic dairy. We're gonna kind of hang out with them for a little while, see how the robots work. One thing about me is that I love learning about this stuff. And actually, I think dairy farms are absolutely awesome. I think that in agriculture, they're the perfect circle of life. They take ground where they grow a crop, turn it into silage and feed for the cows. And those cows, every single day, give them milk or product to sell for us to consume. They then give them a calf one time a year to either grow the herd or sell. The cow, at the end of its useful life, becomes food for our bodies to eat. And then all the manure and stuff like that, they turn around and feed back to the ground. I mean, it's a great circle of life. Really, really like dairies. And there is no other farmer that works harder than a dairyman. So this is our tour guide today. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Austin Troyer, and this morning we're gonna go out and feed some cows. Got 210 milking today, and then we got a bunch of dry cows and heifers to feed and whatnot. So it sounds like probably about 30,000 pounds of feed that we'll need to mix up. So we have our work cut out for a while.
You want to tell us a little bit about your barn here behind us?
Yeah, sure. So we have 4 robots out there in that barn. Milking is all done robotically, and then we have cable alley scrapers and stuff like that.
Feed first thing here this morning, and then we'll go back into the barn where it's a little bit warmer.
This is alfalfa, and then we actually have straw or hay. It's to help the cows to keep their gut, give it enough fiber in there to help build that rumen up. We actually put in it's a mixture of alfalfa and straw, so we put a little bit of that in, and that just helps the cows get some fiber in their system, and definitely helps out their gut health.
So this is a daily chore. Obviously you got to feed right now, but it sounds like this summer you're planning on putting in a kitchen.
Yes.
For simple terms, maybe I can come back after they got their kitchen built, is that the robots will actually start feeding the cows as well, where you're not going to have to be using is that what they call those, a TMR ration?
Yes,
is that what that is?
TMR mixer, yep.
So what does that stand for? Like
total mixed ration.
So soon it's going to be basically a full robotic dairy where cows get fed by robots, milked by robots. Pretty cool. So Austin, how many groups or different rations do you have to mix up in a day right now?
So right now for the milk cows, it's all one ration.
All one ration.
All one ration. As you'll see, it's very full. It'll actually go over the top a little bit.
Oh yeah?
We have to go through and clean it up, and we'll feed that to the dry cows. But yeah, you'll see that mixer be completely heaped full, and for 210 cows.
So is the main part of it, is that corn silage or rye silage?
That is corn silage, and then there's a bag that back there that would have some rye in it, and then dry hay, gluten, and grain. Right now it's a fairly simple ration. We have a lot of dry hay going in, and we used to have some, but last week we had some baleage.
Okay.
Currently we just run out of baleage, so it's all a lot of dry hay going in.
So I'm over by Centerville, and we were dry this year. So how's like the feed situation over in Leon?
Same thing, same.
Dry, hard to get.
Yeah.
Hay prices are crazy high right now.
Yeah, we just had to buy in hay already, and it was beginning of January is when we run out of our own dry, good hay. That is, we have some dry cow grassier hay, but our good alfalfa we had to buy in January.
How long can you usually make it longer than that? Like what would be typically when you start to run out?
Usually we actually have about enough to carry over and even last for the next year, but yeah, this year
it was just that short.
Yeah, we had our first cutting is usually baleage is what we do, and then our second cuttings on out is usually what we try to dry square bale. But this year our second cutting, half of it got rained on, and so that got beef cow hay is what that was. Third cutting, there just was not much there. It was not worth going out.
And so for 210 milking cows, how many acres of crop ground do you have to run to try and get feed for that many cows?
So this year the corn silage was, suffered from the drought as well. We would have had 180 acres of corn silage is about enough to feed about 200 on a good year, but this year we didn't have, it wasn't there quite. So we have enough silage to get us to September. We're going to try to stretch it with, rye coming this spring. Hopefully we get a good rye crop, and then we'll be able to stretch it. But yeah, we're definitely stingy on corn silage this year as well.
Yeah, drought hurts everybody.
Yeah.
Not just the grain farmers, it's like everybody. So this is their corn silage. And it smells good. It smells good. That's got some heat in it. I think he said this is the rye silage. That's rye right there. So is that steaming because it was in a bag?
Yeah, so the outside will kind of cool down. Won't spoil as long as you feed enough of it, but yeah, that's our rileage, and we're only feeding like 800 pounds right now, and that's about what you want to be taking out per day to stay ahead of the spoilage.
So is it steaming because it's trying to spoil? Is that why it's steaming, or is it just because of the bags holds in the heat or something?
The bag would be holding the heat, so I exposed that surface, and so it would have been steaming from the inside.
And what's this mix right here? Ground something?
Yeah, this would be mixed with the grinder mixer right behind you, so it would have cracked corn, roasted soybeans, bean meal, soy plus, fat for energy source, mineral, and some dairy glow, which would be just helps with the gut health. Right here is something that I dump on top. It's microbial. This just helps with the gut health. Kind of an expensive powder, but yeah, it definitely helps with their build bacteria, the good bacteria in their system, and yeah, get some better gut.
So the roasted soybeans and bean meal and stuff like that, is that something that you buy in then?
The roasted soybeans would be our own beans that we have. We just have a big roaster that would come in.
Oh, really?
And he would roast it here on the farm, puts it back in our bin, and then we would crack it with our grinder.
Okay. But you don't have to have any feed brought in, other than what you might have to buy. If you start to bean meal, you buy?
Bean meal we would buy in.
Where's the bean meal come from?
We get most of that from Des Moines.
Des Moines, comes from Des Moines?
Yeah.
So they crack all that in this mixer right there, which you actually just saw Andrew do in one of the last videos. That's probably the expensive bucket scoop, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty expensive.
That's the one you don't want to smell in the morning. So they got themselves kind of like a nice little ramp built up where he's not having to go so high with his loader. And then here on the side, I also think that one of these old Deeres comes pretty much standard on one of these mixins and feed wagons. 4430. I wouldn't want to know how many hours are on that thing. So this is the next thing going in. Some type of pellet. Oh, this is the gluten?
This is the gluten to distillers, I think. But,
so what you're saying is dairy cows aren't gluten intolerant?
Nope, they're not.
Okay. I just have just as much fun learning about this stuff and taking you guys with me to do these type of things. This is cool. This is cool. So is this one TMR batch enough for you to do all your cows in just one batch? Or are you going to mix multiple days?
For the milk cows, they'll last for one whole day.
One whole day, or do you got to feed in the evening too?
No, just one whole day.
One whole day? Okay. Because we'll see this, but you probably have robots pushing up?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see that inside. But so that's enough for all those cows this morning. It's pretty full. So the mixer's been running for about 20 minutes. It apparently takes about that much time for everything to get mixed up through there, kind of blended, I guess you could say. Said the mixing time depends a little bit on how wet the feed is. Says the ration right now is kind of dry, so the mixing time takes a little bit longer. But it's about done, so we're gonna be coming in this door right down here and getting these gals some feed. Of course, there's got to be a farm dog around. Mandatory. Huh. Patrolling the world, making sure everything's okay. Bandit's gonna smell you on me and not be happy. So that's what the inside of the TMR mixer looks like. Just big screws with knives and stuff on it to cut up things and mix it. Then discharges out that side.
Now where their beds are, the best time to do that because most
they're
of
out.
them are up and whatnot. So it looks like you got your boots on. I'm gonna grab my boots and we'll go through
I'll go with you.
Here's the tap.
On this one? 229.
Yep. We'll be walking through. She'll come find us.
Now that you're fed, what's the next thing you're gonna do?
So we're gonna go through and scrape out the beds, the free stalls. They lay in sand beds, and so clean those out. Make sure the manure is out and it's nice and dry beds, so keeps them clean and from getting mastitis in the quarter and stuff. So that's the next part, and scrape some of the cross alleys. Try to keep it nice and clean in here.
Yep, and you do it now because obviously they're all up at the
Most of
bucking
them are
and it
up
makes it easier on you.
Yep.
Yep. Just kind of natural order of things. Don't slip and fall, don't slip and fall, don't slip and fall. What they have in their barn here is actually alley scrapers, which are these guys right here. It scrapes the alley just like the name of them, but the crossovers, they've got to scrape out themselves. So I'm gonna hit you with a couple questions as you're scraping here.
Yeah.
So when you think of like Southern Iowa, you really don't think dairy farms. You know, there is not a lot of dairy farms around here.
There's one other one in the county.
One other dairy farm in the county.
Yeah.
And Leon's, what county is Leon in?
Decatur.
Decatur County. So in the whole county, there's 2 dairy farms. What's that like? Is there like challenges to that, or do you think it's advantages, or?
As far as dairy, maybe somewhat disadvantaged, because then to get our milk to go anywhere, our actual place where we ship it to is up in Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
And so that gets distributed out, among the rest of we're a part of DFA, and so part of that would get distributed amongst that. But yeah, being you have to ship your milk farther, it would be a downside to that.
But like veterinary work, animal nutrition, stuff like that, there's people that you can call on around here for that?
So our nutritionist is up from, I believe it's Minnesota, unless it's Wisconsin, but I believe he's from Minnesota. and so he comes down usually every 2 months. The vet, we have a very good vet around that, you know, a beef cow isn't that much different than a dairy cow. But, so yeah, we have a good vet available, but we do a lot of the vet work ourselves, so.
And here in a second, we're gonna go check out the robots, but they're Lely Robots, is that how you say it? Lely Robots, and they have 4 robots milking 210 cows, which I kind of hit them on. It's about 50 cows per robot. It could be a little bit more than that, but it's just you and your brother running the 210 cows.
There's some part-time help that we have here and there, but as a majority, me and my brother running most of the milking part of it.
And if you were to milk 210 cows, how many people without the robots would you have to have?
It's going to vary, depends on your parlor and how many times a day you'll milk. A good, nice setup parlor, you could have, you know, if you're going to be milking 2 times a day, you know, you could have another 2 that could easily get by with it, maybe even 1 more hand. It kind of depends on what kind of life you want to have off the farm, but no, it's definitely, it takes a man out of the system, especially if you're going to be trying to get milking that 3 times a day. You're taking 1 or 2 guys out of the system for sure.
And after we tour the robots, we'll chat a little bit about differences and maybe how your lifestyle's changed from going from a parlor to this, and maybe what some of the advantages of the parlor are compared to the robots. But we'll chat about that a little bit later. He's got to keep scraping. Sounds like money. So the bedding in the barn is actually sand.
Yep.
They really like the sand,
Yep,
and the sand's recyclable too, isn't it?
You could, but we're not set up to recycle it. But
you're not set up to recycle it?
Nope. What some dairies are doing actually is they'll take the manure from the alley that you see. Imagine there's no sand in here, and it'll be taken to the end of the barn, and then what they have is actual manure separators. It separates the liquid from the dry, and so then all the liquid that's in the manure is just squished out, and then they would let it dry and pretty much ferment, and all the bacteria is killed out of it, and then they actually bed with the dry manure. And the bacteria level doesn't seem to be an issue to some farms. Some farms there is that issue, so that's why we haven't gone that step yet, is because it is a little higher maintenance versus, you know, saying you just dump it in and it'll take care of itself. But if you do rebed with manure, you have to be a little more careful with the bacteria level in it. But yeah, some farms actually do bed with dried manure that it looks close to sand and looks pretty comfortable as well.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Tidbit of the day. So as we're working our way down our barn here, they've got a brush, which is like, what is that, like a plastic bristles or something?
Not even sure what they are.
Like, it's just like a bristle brush.
Yeah.
And the cows can come up and rub on it, and it's got a little electric motor on it and spins. What, proximity sensor or something on the top of it that starts it up when the cow's standing there? So they rub on that, and obviously it probably feels good to the cow, but it probably helps keep them a little cleaner too.
Yeah,
brushes it off. So, and then right here, they actually, we were talking about it down on that end, is they've got like a plastic style, what do they call these? Like the
poly something, and then basically it allows the cows, gives them a lot more, you know, flexibility for a big cow that gets in with a steel hoop one, why it can bruise her up a little bit, whereas these here, it's a lot more
makes
flexible.
It easier. So if the robots took away your milking time, so do you spend less time on the farm now, or you feel like your time spent better, like with the cows and other things like that, or do you just feel like there's less hours on the farm? There's
probably as much. I mean, so we used to be milking a couple miles from here actually, so we just weren't set up quite as efficient. So that we're set up more efficiently, so that's helping. As far as less hours in the barn, there's probably there'd be less man hours. Now we as individuals are spending close to the amount of same time out here, but it's a lot more flexible. You can come out and do chores kind of on your own time. It's not like you have to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening, but it definitely, there's some less time too. Like say you need to be somewhere in the evening, you can there's shortcuts that you can take, not breed a cow and do that, maybe the next morning or something. But overall, as far as the milking time, it's definitely less.
And you just said breed a cow. Are you AI on all your cows?
Yep.
Do you use sex semen?
Yep. A lot of sex semen on our better cows, and then the rest of the cows would be getting beef Angus. There's a pretty good market for those cross right now.
So right now there's a big cable reel.
We're coming down the alley back to the scraper. There's a cable and a big winch basically right here.
And one scraper is getting pulled, one side of the alley is getting pulled, right?
Yeah.
As the other one retracts, so it just kind of goes in a big back and forth. But it pulls the manure down, which we'll see here in a second.
Drops it into a slat at the end of the barn.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep. So it's a big. What it is there's a kind of a pit right here underneath us. It's like a 10 by 10 room. It's inside the barn, so somewhat heated out of the elements at least. And so manure will drop here, and then we'll have we have our end bearing wall here that goes down. The pit out on the outside is 12 foot deep. And so the manure goes underneath the wall and comes up. That way in the winter time when it's cold, why it keeps it from freezing is, in theory, it does mess up, get with the sand and stuff, it can kind of freeze up. So then we have a emergency dump here. There's a rubber flap there that would keep the cold, but it's working right now really good to where it comes up underneath, kind of like a toilet, so to speak, and the manure comes up underneath and keeps things going pretty decent when it gets cold. So right now the capacity that we have only holds us about three months approximately.
3 months.
So we'll have here in a couple of weeks, so I will have to be hauling here on the crop grounds. In the summertime when we have beans and corn out, we'll be hauling on pastures and stuff like that.
Pasture and hay ground.
Yep.
So that's also kind of the cool thing about a dairy farm is like you chop, and so you actually have a lot of opportunities to apply manure.
Yeah,
so you don't have to hold as much.
Right.
Kind of like hog barns, they got to hold basically a year and a half because their window to apply manure is so slim.
Yeah.
Versus you guys have multiple opportunities a year.
Yep.
I don't know if that's as exciting as watching paint dry or not. I think that's when you insert your joke about eating tacos.
Stay away from Taco Bell.
So as we continue on our scraping interview here, I don't follow the dairy market so well. What have the milk prices and things kind of been doing, or how's the milk market?
So the last 3 years have been very good. Now we're in February right now, and this year has really dropped off quite a bit. I'm not sure what's driving it down so fast, but markets are down this year, and prices for corn, beans is up pretty high, but there is the availability to buy margin protection, so it protects you from the big margins with the grain commodities being so high and milk just now dropping off. Why there is protection that you will insurance that basically that you can buy to protect yourself.
And then as a dairy farmer, you sell your milk to a co-op or a buyer. Is that like market price of the milk every time? Or are you like under a contract, or how's that exactly work?
Typically market price.
Market
is
price.
What it is. The co-op is actually owned, it's a huge co-op, but it is owned by farmers. And so usually they take care of you to the best that you can.
So is your milk like graded on fat content, or is there a premium for more fat in your milk, or is it just kind of like there is?
Yeah. So right now we're only, for the dairy farmers out there, 80 pounds is 79, 80 pounds is about all we're getting right now as far as pounds per day, which isn't nothing super special, but we have very good components. So our protein is about a 3.2 and our butter fat is a 4.2. And so with those components being extra high, it would be equivalent to our butter fat. It used to be like a 3.2, 3.3, but we were getting 90 pounds of milk, which is significantly more, but we would actually rather have that higher butter fat and protein because we are getting paid a premium on that versus, even with less milk.
So you're saying like you got like a base, like standard what the milk should be, and if you go above that, you get more money for it. If you go below that, you get docked.
Right on, yeah.
Okay, which that should be the way it is with corn. Once you get standard and you start to have better corn, you should be paid more for that. You know, but nope. It's like they'll only dock you. They'll never pay you more for your corn.
That's right.
So after the scrape up's done, we're gonna actually go in here to the robots. There's 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and we'll do a little walkthrough of the robots. This is you take it away. So
Yeah, so we used to have two separate groups here, but we recently have put them all in one just to give the cow more preference, be able to do their own schedule, have the whole barn to themselves in a way, and they can use whatever robot they prefer, and it's a little more fetching, but no, it gives the cows flexibility to walk the whole barn. So we'll check out these 2 robots over here. Got it figured out.
So there's a gal that just got done. Out she goes. And then there's guys that are kind of queued up right now.
but they're queued up right now because it's just right after feed time. So it's kind of like a time that they want to go get milk, correct?
Yep.
So, and that might be an advantage to the kitchen when they get a chance to go to the kitchen. Here, I'm gonna stop talking real quick and we can watch this process. You wanna explain this from here?
Goes in there to brush, so there is a camera above the cow, and so it memorizes where the teat placement is at. There's no camera down underneath, and it knows where the teats about are, and so it does a double zoom here. Then after that's done, it will pull out the laser and scan for the teats and put on 1 cup at a time then.
You're saying that you have 2 different models of robots in here right now?
This is the 4 series.
Yep.
And then this is the 5 series.
While it's brushing, they get treats dispensed, don't they?
So on the screen here, I can see she's going to get 3.5 pounds of pellet that comes down from that tube up there and dispenses it there throughout her box time of 6 minutes and 20 seconds is what it predicts. And so then it'll just consistently, slowly dispense the feed out as she's getting milk to keep her attention, and she won't even worry about this arm then.
So then the brushes came back, got sprayed with some type of disinfectant.
Yeah, disinfectant.
So then it brushes again.
And what happens after that brushes it?
So after it's done brushing, then it pulls out the laser. We'll do a scan, and then if it likes what it sees, then it'll put on 1 cup at a time.
So now it's got the laser, which is kind of right up there. You guys can see it a little bit. Whoop. 1 cup. 2. 3. 4.
How long does it take for a cow to get like used to a robot?
Sure. So the cows, once they are in the system, so say like this cow is gonna, I don't know if she's pregnant or not, but say we dry her up here in a month, and then in 10 months from now she calves back in here and gets back into the system, why they'll remember it. And so once you train them, they're trained for life in a such. But on the heifers, when a heifer comes in, you have to train her. Usually it takes a week to 10 days on average to train heifers in the system, but they'll catch on pretty quick, and yeah, once you have them trained, well, they'll be good for life then typically.
Got 4 quarters. Is it metering each and every quarter?
Yeah, so it's timing each quarter, and then as soon as the milk flow is done on 1 quarter, it'll pull it off and it times that, and gets all that information is on the computer and gets sent to there to, and if a cow is off, 5 or 10 pounds, and that 1 quarter was only milked out, 1 minute versus...
Which one just dropped right now?
Yeah, one just dropped now.
Done.
And so that's all tracked, and I think I'm pretty sure that was about right, but say that quarter had a little mastitis and it only milked out a minute and was supposed to milk out for 3 minutes, and she's off on 10 pounds, then boom, right there, her right front quarter, has some trouble and you need to treat it. So all that information is updated every milking to the robot.
Third, fourth. And then she gets booted out on this side. There she goes, a 6-minute little treat and milking vacation. Oh, the left side?
Yeah, left side of that. The bottom is a weight.
Bottom's a weight?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the collar here. Each cow has a collar on it. The bottom's a weight. I didn't know that it was a weight. So what are the collars reading and telling us?
So as you can see right here on this collar, it's right there on the left side, and it's against her neck. And so there's a thin disc in there, and when they chew their cud, right now they're eating. I don't know how it knows the difference, but supposedly they know the difference. But it reads how much they're chewing their cud. And then there's also a pedometer in there, which tracks steps. So when they walk, it can track steps. And all that information is on that collar. And then when they walk in the robot to get milked, it takes all that data and puts it onto the computer, the server, and converts all that into stuff that we can read.
He's basically got Fitbits on his cows.
That's what it is. So the last cow just got milked here in this machine. She just got done walking out. The next one's in here. Her milk was in this jar. It weighed it, and then the milk comes out here. There's a milk pump. This is the older style here, and so it's a bladder, and so it uses air to pump the milk over. If her milk. So this cow here, it says milk destination is going to the tank, but say it would be one that just calved or a sick one, it will automatically, it's programmed in the computer if the milk should get dumped.
The pusher robot just started too. We'll see that here in a second.
So then it comes through here, and then here's our filter. We change that out twice a day. It filters the milk. And then right here is a plate cooler. It's fairly small, but with robots, it works pretty well because the milk basically is just trickling into the tank slowly throughout the whole day. And so what the plate cooler does is kind of like a radiator. It cools the milk. I think it comes out of here is at 46 degrees. It'd be going in at, that 100 degrees, 102. And then it comes through and it's already cooled down to 50 degrees so that we don't have to cool it as much through a compressor. And so then this water gets recycled and it goes out to the water fountains and works out perfectly pretty much because it chills it and we don't waste the water that we're using. And the cows keeps the water fountains thawed out in the wintertime as well. So the milk gets cooled down to about 50 degrees and then comes through here. And then you can see we have this little tank here. And this is actually a small holding tank that the milk goes into while the milk truck comes. He comes every other day and he would hook up to the big tank, drain that out. And while he's draining that out, the valves, it's controlled by this computer here. The valves get switched over. Milk goes in this tank while he empties out. And then he gets emptied out and he hooks up to the washer, pushes some buttons on the controller, and it goes through a whole wash cycle. It adds the acid, adds the soap, washes the whole system, empties out, gives it time to dry out a little bit, and after it's all timed in the computer, it gets emptied out, and it switches over the valves. This milk goes in there, fills up that tank, and then it starts cooling within a half hour.
So that's how the milk gets in the tank. Someone shows up, takes it, you said every 2 days.
Yep.
But another cool part of what they got going on for technology is actually in their office, where they can pull up and see what cows are doing. We'll go check it out real quick.
So is this part of like Lely's system or is this a different system?
Yeah, this is all Lely's system. And so gives you all the cow information. So at a glance here on these graphs, this was a newly updated system, still trying to figure everything out. But the first thing here that we're looking at is the total milk in one day, 16,809 pounds. Our week average is 16,136, and so it gives that, and then it gives us our average milk per day. Our current within like the last hour or two is what it would be, is 80 pounds. Our weekly average was at 77, so we're starting to gain here. And then it gives us our refusals, our failures, our butterfat content, protein, number of visits, and as time goes on, you can sort it out per robot. So if you think there's a robot that's not working quite right, you can individually work look at that. And so here I can see on robot 2, our failures are a little bit high. So today I'll open that up and see if something needs to be calibrated. If there's a sick cow, why she's gonna show up on the system. So here we have a cow that her quarter, her left front, right front quarter, it's showing the value here is the continuity. And so it's a little bit of mastitis in that quarter. And so it tells us, you know, what all about that cow, why she's on this health report. And so we can click on her and get more detailed information. And so we can see here in the last week that she's slowly been going off on milk. The other really handy report would be on the activity for when a cow comes in heat. So right now there's 4 on this list. And so we can see this first one here. Okay, so this cow here is on the heat report. Here 20, I can see the cycle. This is about 21 days ago, so we know that she is for sure in heat because we had tried to inseminate her here 21 days ago, and she obviously didn't stick, and she came back in heat. So this dark blue is her activity, how much she's walking around. We can see that spiked up again here, and this light blue is her rumination. When a cow comes in heat, the rumination will actually drop off a little bit too there. And so that there is 100% guaranteed that that cow is cycling again and that she needs to be bred.
So what's rumination mean?
Rumination is how much they're chewing their cud, laying down and resting and chewing their cud comfortably.
So she's walking around pacing.
Yeah, yep, she's walking around pacing and not
looking for
laying
Mr.
down.
Right.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. And so that's a super, you know, you're looking at it, it's just a bunch of lines, but it's very clear. That's like 100% guaranteed. So
this gal you'd probably service again today or tomorrow?
Yep, today she would get serviced.
Yeah. I hope you guys learned something. I definitely learned something. Saying thanks to Austin. Yep. You got an Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your Instagram?
Tboy Dairy.
Tboy Dairy. I'll put it down below if you guys want to kind of keep up with what he's doing. Hopefully maybe they'll invite me back once they get their kitchen up.
Yep, for sure.
So, and we can check that out because this is pretty cool stuff. Got any questions? I'll send him the video. He can maybe answer 1 or 2 of them in the description if he reads it. But other than that, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys in the next one.